but it's also going to take us to basically we're going on break. The yeshiva is going on like a 10-day break, starting on the yortzeit of the Rebbe's father, which is in about 10 days. So we're going to have a Shabbos in between. So we're going to have about a week to maybe do one more mimer. This mimer, all right. We'll just be starting it already. Let's get going here. Sorry, I'm confusing you. Okay, so this mimer, the difficulty of it, it's as we said, it's a Chaf Menachem Av, the Rebbe's father's yortzeit mimer. The difficulty of it, it's beautiful and it's difficult at the same time, is that it's based on a mimer from Ayain Beis, the great, holy, fearsome, awesome Ayain Beis. So many stories about Ayain Beis. The Rebbe basically said it was such a powerful thing to bring into the world that he refused to have anyone's name particularly associated with its publication, and he asked instead that everybody should pay $1, and he made a whole mitzvah, the whole world, everyone could send in $1 and have some partition, so it shouldn't be associated with any one individual, because it would be dangerous for them to have any, and there's no names associated. If you look in the beginning, it's like it just came out, and even so, that year the Rebbe had a heart attack.
Whoa.
Basically, following the publication, people say it was associated with that.
Too much spiritual life.
It was basically like the end of the Gullus, Ayain Beis. So it's very, very, very deep. It's like maybe a couple thousand page long mimer. Essentially, it's what it is. I mean, I guess it has a few ebbs and flows, but it goes. You start reading and you're in the middle of some quagmire question for 400 pages. It's unbelievable. So the Rebbe, it's amazing how the Rebbe, takes this information and sort of can put dozens and dozens of maimarim and a whole thought process that took the Rebbe Rashab sort of 100 pages to bring out. The Rebbe will just bring the whole concept in one mimer, and in the middle of telling you something else and associating with what. So it's amazing, but it's also extremely, extremely difficult, to unpack. So we'll do our best. But it's 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 for the Rebbe's father's yortzeit. The Rebbe, he gave his father a nice gift there. We'll do our best. So it's sort of a little challenge we'll leave for ourselves before the break. Okay. So starting with, let's start it off. Shabbos Parshas Eikev, Chaf Menachem Av. It's the second mimer that he said in this particular Fabrengen in the year Tafshin Chav Zayin, 1967. V'ata Yisrael ma havaya lokecha shoel mi'imach ki im liyira gomer. So it's a pasuk there. It says, "Now Yisrael, what is Hashem your God asking from you? Only to fear Him." Right? Basically, it's a request. Really, at the end of the day, Moshe is recounting the whole Torah. What does he really want out of all these, parshas and words and commandments? He wants you to fear Him. The Gemara in Brachas, it says over there, Atu Yira Milsa Zutrasihi. It says, oh, that's all? Right? All Hashem is asking is for us to fear Him? Is fear such a simple thing? Like Moshe sort of sums it up. He's like, don't worry, all Hashem wants is for you to fear Him. The Gemara right away, Hasidically minded, says what? To reach such a level is extremely difficult. What do you mean? That's all he wants. Umataretz Ayin. And it says yes, by the way. Lagabi Moshe milsa zutrasihi. Yes, when it comes to Moshe, fear is a simple thing. Right? So in other words, does that make sense?
No.
Why?
Because he's talking about the Jewish people.
Exactly. That's Yedua, right? Thank you. Simcha. Rabbi Simcha. Yedua hadiyuk b'zeh, right? It's known, right, from many places. He says, first of all, it's brought in Tanya, this question. And also in Nigla, the question is brought. Hadiyuk b'zeh, harei shoel me'imach. Moshe is asking the question, all Hashem wants from you, right? Moshe is the one talking. It's not like, it can't be that it's referring to him. Because he's saying, all that Hashem wants from you. He's talking to the Am Yisrael. Right? Mikol echad v'chad mi-Yisrael. It says for every single Jew. Umau ha-teretz l'gabi Moshe milsa zutrasihi. So what kind of answers that the Gemara gives? Don't worry, not a problem. As far as Moshe, it's a simple thing to achieve. we have no question that Moshe could fear Hashem perfectly, but how is that really an answer for the Gemara when Moshe was asking us? You get it? So that's a big problem there. We're going to deal with that. Gaon Tzrich Lahabi. Another question. Ma Isa b'Gemara. This is what it says in the Gemara. Chayev Adam levarech meya brachas b'chol yom. A person, what's that? Yeah, a person has to make 100 blessings every day, right? Yesterday we had a little challenge because you don't eat. Usually you can get a few in there with eating.
That's the bathroom a lot.
Yeah, so
you got a lot of times.
So you have, okay, but this is a real thing brought in the Shulchan Aruch. A person is, and that's why so many brachas were instituted. You knock off most of them with just like the brachas you have to make every day. The morning blessings, 3 times Shemona Esrei, it already adds up there, and you gotta, etc. It's not time for to go into the whole breakdown right now, but you're supposed to make 100 blessings every day. And it says, Shene'emar, how do you know? From where do we learn you're supposed to make 100 blessings a day? Guess what? Ba'ata Yisrael, ma Hashem Elokecha shoel mi'imach. From this very pasuk, it says, Jewish people, what is Hashem asking from you? And here's the famous thing, Al tikra ma elameya. Right? Don't read the word ma. The Torah can just do this sometimes, whenever it deems fit. Right? Al tikra, there's this thing, don't read the word like this, rather read the word like this. And don't read the word ma, but rather read the word meya. Instead of saying ma, you throw an aleph in there, and it comes out meya. So what does it come out to be saying? Meya Hashem Elokecha shoel mi'imach. It says 100 Hashem is asking from you. Right? Instead of saying ma, you say meya. That's how it comes out to be a statement, not a question. Hashem is asking you 100 blessings a day.
And if you look in the Balaturim on the pasuk, it says that the whole pasuk has 99 letters in it. And if you add the aleph in the mei, you get 100 letters.
There you go.
That's the Balaturim.
That's good.
All right. So the Marsha writes on this. It's a Gemara in Menachos. He writes that Tam Shedarshu al tikra ma. Right? I guess he didn't read the Balaturim, but why he writes? Why did they go with this thing al tikra ma lameya? Right? In other words, the Gemara already came up with an answer. What was the Gemara's answer? Of basically, what was the problem? Right? That it's saying it's all Hashem is asking from you is to fear Him. He said, what? Fearing Him is so difficult. So the Gemara came up with an answer. What was the Gemara's answer? It's not difficult for Moshe. Don't worry. Right? So the Marsha gets involved and he says, the reason why they came up with this thing called Al Tikra Ma Elameya, they changed it, so to speak, and they added the aleph, and they took the shot of the Balaturim. It's because the answer that the Gemara gave to begin with was not a good question, right? Atu yira milsa zutrasi. In other words, because fear is so difficult, right? And the fact that Moshe can take care of that fear for us is not really an answer, because he's going to do it for himself. What does that have to do with us? Therefore, we have to say that there must be a different answer. In other words, since fear is so difficult, and it can't be that Hashem was just saying, "All I'm asking you is to fear me." It's impossible to comply. Therefore, there's another reading to knock off the question to begin with. Instead of saying all Hashem is asking from you, you say Hashem is asking you 100 things.
But I'm sorry, why is it so hard to fear Hashem after all that went on there in the desert? Why, and all that happened to us? Why is it so hard to fear?
I guess you tell me. I can't answer. I can only answer for myself. Fearing Hashem, the simple level of fear of Hashem is you keep the laws, and even what's called the lower level of fear, the lowest level of fear. It means that you're a perfect citizen, right? You don't do anything you're not supposed to do. So I don't know. You tell me why it's so hard. I have my own reasons why it's so hard. You can tell me. Maybe for you it's not. You're a Kohen. Listen, it's different.
It seems easier to fear Hashem than to love Hashem.
But what I'm saying is, realistically, fearing is not just a word. It comes out to the result of a person who fears Hashem is that he never transgresses anything, because the fear is constant. Right? I guess that's what we really mean. All Hashem is look. Here's Moshe's recounting the whole Torah. So he's saying, here's 613 mitzvahs, and let me break it down for you. All it's really required here is to fear Hashem. So what he's saying is that at the end of the day, if you fear Hashem, you'll cover all this. So in other words, it equals covering all this. So it's hard.
I think when you're in the midbar and they were singing Nisim and everything,
They still didn't do it.
Yeah, but it's not such a hard.
But they still
problem.
didn't do it, so it must have been hard.
But these days it's even harder.
These days it's even harder, but even in the midbar they didn't do it, right? They still went astray. So it's basically, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily on such a level of a tzaddik. It's the simplest level of fear is hard enough. I hear you. I mean, it's something we take for granted. We think that we're Haredim. That's what they call themselves. It means you fear Hashem. Halavai.
Yeah.
We had so many Haredim. Anyway, so the point is like this. Where were we? The question, the Marsha brings out, why was there a necessity to bring this new reading, Al Tikra Ma Elameya, right? Is because the original reading proved too difficult, right? All Hashem wants is for you to fear Him. It's impossible, so let's just get rid of the question altogether by rewriting the statement in the first place. It doesn't even say that. It says Hashem is asking for you 100 things. B'lachein darshu al tikra ma elameya. Shedavar zeh, because this levarach mea brachas b'chol yom, to make 100 blessings a day. It's easy enough for a person to do that. That's not such an ask. In other words, you still have to work on that, but it's definitely accomplishable.
Doesn't fit in with the pasuk though. Ad Yisrael mea Hashem elokech sholim mimach.
That's it.
He
Hashem
wants
is
to
asking,
have ki'im what? What do you do with the ki'im the year?
yeah, because it works.
How's it
Because
work?
look, the next line. B'ayidei zeh yavo liyiras Hashem. Right?
No, it's not ki'im.
It could be ki'im. Right? It could be ki'im.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could work that in. I don't want to get into a whole now right now how it's just a guess on my part, but I could see it a few ways. Right? So in other words, Al Yidei Zeh, it's not just stam, he's asking you 100 brachas. That's not the end of it. Because as Rabbi Simcha just brought out, the rest of the pasuk says Ki'im liras Hashem. The rest of the pasuk, you can't divorce the inyan from fearing Hashem altogether, because the rest of the pasuk says to fear Hashem. But the idea is that according to the new reading, right, the new answer of the Marsha, it's that it makes it much easier to fear Hashem. Because if you say 100 brachas a day, you're going to reach the level of fear of Hashem. Somehow. That's the answer. If you look at footnote 8, actually, it's literally your question is dealt with the Rebbe in a footnote. Perush ki'im li'irahu. What does it mean? Ki'im. Tezeh Hashem Elokecha shoel milmach levarach mea brachas ein kavanaso ki'im li'ira. Right? You have to add a few words, but it comes out that this that he asks you 100 brachas, it's only, the kavana is ki'im, only to fear him. That's the reason behind it. There's no other reason for these 100 brachas but to fear him. That's how you would read it. Okay, so we got it. Tzrich biur. Now we don't have it. We need to understand. Mai hamayla de mea brachas. What is so great about 100 brachas? Shal yadam ba'im liyiras Hashem. We just got through saying it's impossible to fear Hashem. It's the craziest thing. You can't do it. And all of a sudden, if you make 100 brachas, you can fear Hashem. Right? Like that's how they answered it. What's so great about 100 brachas that it brings you to fear Hashem? V'gam tzrich lahavin, we also have to understand al pi hayedua shekol haperushim sheba'oso pasik shayachim zeh lazeh. The Rebbe brings oftentimes the inyan that anytime you have two answers on one verse or two explanations on one verse, they're not stam, they're related to each other. They all pile up, and you have to see how they synthesize. So ma hashayches do ma umeya. So here we have the question: what's the connection to ma and meya? Because there are two ways to read the same word, and not only that, ma hashayches to shnei perushim. In other words, if you think about it, each one of those, it's not just that there's two words that that sort of are in the same pasuk and have to come together, two perushim, but the two perushim are also two different answers to a question. If you think about it, so mitratzim hakushia. Atu yira milsa zutrasihi, right? That basically they're both coming to answer the question: is fear such a hard thing, right? Yeah, excuse me, such an easy thing. When we started off by saying Ma Hashem Elokecha shoel mi'imach, the question was, "Oi, that's impossible to do to arrive at the level of fear. Is it such an easy thing?" And so there's basically two answers to that question, right? Is fear such an easy thing? It has two answers. What are the two answers? One we know. Well, that's the problem. That's the question. It's not easy. So how do we answer it? We said this is important. That's why I'm sort of stopping here. Really, we have two answers to this problem, right? That the pshat is, what is Hashem asking from you? Only to fear Him. And right away the Gemara says, what? That's not so easy. So we said two answers. One is, it's easy for Moshe. That was an answer of some sort. The Gemara, it doesn't seem very satisfying for us, but that was an answer that the Gemara gave. You with me? It says, for Moshe it's easy. And the other answer was, yeah, take away the whole reading of the blessing, like the whole pasuk basically, and reread it, and now you don't have that problem anymore. With 100 blessings, you can fear Hashem, right? So is fear such an easy thing? Yes, with 100 blessings, fear is such an easy thing. Those are basically two ways that the Gemara came to satisfy what seemed like a very intriguing, difficult verse. One is that referring to Moshe, even though that itself had questions, and one is that with 100 blessings, if you reread it as 100 blessings, it's no longer so hard to fear Hashem. And the Rebbe is now saying that those answers also must be related to each other, because they're two answers relating to the same question. So just like you had two words, ma and meya, two readings of the pasuk which have to be related to each other, also the two answers to the question have to have relationship to each other.
So the 100 brachas is related to Moshe's ability to fear Hashem.
Somehow, I mean, I'm not going to, at this point we're not ready to answer it, but there's, the answer that 100 brachas can get you to fear is somehow related to the fact that Moshe can have fear without much difficulty. Everybody in there? It's only going to get more complicated as we ride on here. So does everyone just have this part solid? Yeah? All right. This is not so complicated as of now. What's that?
No, I was just thinking it would be easier to fear Hashem through maybe doing mitzvot. But there's no like daily requirement of mitzvot that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do all of mitzvot. You can't.
But you're onto something there. The brachas are also brachas of mitzvahs, right? In other words, there's a shaykhus to the fact that the bracha itself is like a mitzvah, right? And therefore they're not mitzvahs?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
It's not...
It's an Indian of mitzvah, though.
Yeah.
In other words, that you're like a mitzvah, you have to make a bracha. In other words, it's an obligation upon your person, right, to make a bracha. Okay, but anyway, we'll see about its connection to mitzvahs. Beis. Thank you. That's exactly what we needed. Hine hachiluk bein haperush kipshuto ma la perush hanidrash al pi alimud da al tikra meya. What is the difference between the two perushim? We said there's a connection. What's the difference first between them? The pshat, which is ma, and that which we darshaned out, which is al tikra ma ela meya. What's the difference? Da perush kipshuto, that the simple meaning ma kai al liyira. The simple meaning is that the word the word ma kai al liyira. It refers to fear. What is Hashem asking you? To fear. So the word what, right, is actually a word coming to describe the word to fear. Right? It refers to fear. What? To fear. To kol ma Hashem Elokecha shoel mimach hu liyiras Hashem. That which Hashem is asking you, the what, is to fear Him. Va'perush hanidrash. Whereas the explanation of the word ma that we darshaned out, which is ma is meya, hu inyan la'atzmo. Right? It doesn't refer to anything else. It doesn't refer to the fear. It's meya Hashem is asking from you. Period. Right? In other words, you read it like this. You just read, Hashem is asking for you 100. It's a complete statement in itself. It's not referring to the fear. Right? It's true that we're going to say that if you have 100, you'll come to fear. Right? But the word Meya does not refer directly to the fear. Whereas the word Ma, what is Hashem asking? Is Hashem asking? It refers directly to the fear. He's asking you to fear. Right? You getting this? So this is one of the differences. Tezeh Hashem Elokecha shoel mi'imach hu ma. He's asking you already the ma, i.e. the meya brachas. Elisha al yidei zeh tavu liyiras Hashem, and therefore through this you'll come to fear Hashem. But the ask is not on the fear. I guess let's put it like that. It's an easier way to understand it. What's the ask? Right? It's for the 100. And 100 will lead you to fear. Whereas in the first explanation, the simple reading, the ask is right on to the fear. What is he asking you? He's asking you to fear. Whereas the second one, he's not asking you to fear. He's just asking you to make 100. So that's one difference between the readings, is that the ask is different. There's another difference between these two explanations. That the word ma, simply stated, means that the thing that you're asking for is something small. That's why the Gemara got all worked up about it, right? What is he asking for you in the end of the day? Like nothing, right? And as the Gemara itself says, it's a small thing. The Gemara asked it as like a shock. Is it such a small thing? But because the pshat is that it's a small thing. Yeah, that's true. Umeya hu mispar gadol v'ad l'shleimus hamispar. Okay, so this is the second difference between these two things, right? Again, I'm going to remind you because it's going to get complicated in a second. The first difference between the two was that the ask was different, right? The ask was on the fear in the ma, and it was on just making the brachas in the meya. Now the second difference is whether it's the ask is big or small, right? At first we're saying, what is Hashem asking for you? Like he's asking for you nothing, basically. And then when we turn the drasha into meya, it winds up a huge thing he's asking for you. In other words, in volume, right? He's asking for you 100 things, which 100 is the definition of big. It's called shleimus hamispar. It's the totality of number. The Ba'osios, turning the page, mispar hachi gadol humeus. Because when it comes to like letters, we say that the biggest number you can arrive at is 100. Meaning what? In the gematria, you have aleph to tes is single digits, and then from tes till kuf, up until not including, it's double digits, and then that's it. You go into triple digits. You don't have any more than triple digits. You only have hundreds. So basically, in a simple sense, it's because hundreds represents Kabbalistically totality of big. Right? There's nothing bigger than that. And as we described in the last mimer, it goes on the Indian of basically, Malchus and the rest of Atzilus versus Kesser. There's basically three, like Rosh Toch Sof. There's three levels, if you will, beyond the Seder Ishtalshalus, the Shamayim and the Aretz. Right? So these are basically at hundreds represents the highest. Uvifrat, and that's just sort of on a simple pshat level. But if you go deeper, the Hamavur b'Chasidus, it's explained in Chasidus, Tezesh nizvasef b'meya al mashu os elef osios pella, is that when you get to an Indian of ma versus meya, al pi Chasidus, what letter are you adding? The Balaturim says there's one, right? I like that. One letter missing, which is the aleph. What does aleph equal? Elef, right? It's 1,000 also. But also, it represents the word pella, which is like wondrous, something mamish of keser basically goes on, right? Which really is the or hasoviv. It represents, pella means something wondrous beyond the seichel, and infinite, representing the or hasoviv, the infinite light that cannot be grasped. Shalamaylam ishtalshlus, is above the ishtalshlus. That the word meya itself, not only is it the Indian of 100, but it has an aleph in there showing you that it's a pella, and it's the highest thing you can have. So what do we see here? in this second reading, I'm going to just go back again and then reiterate this because it gets a little complicated in the words, that the second reading, the difference is between ma and meya is that ma is small, meya is big. Whereas if you go back to the other reading, what was it going on? The ask. And the ask was that I'm asking you in the ma reading to fear Hashem, which is big. And in the meya reading, I'm only asking you 100 brachas, which is small. You see that?
It's opposites.
Opposites. We'll say it again inside. Tzrich lahavin, we have to understand they're opposites. These two, we have to understand that seemingly these two differences between the two explanations are opposites. I'll go through it again, right? We said that there's if you read ma and meya, there's really they're different from each other in two different ways. Like, and if we investigate the difference between ma and meya, we can have two investigations, right? And we're going to wind up seeing that when they're opposite, the result of those investigations turns out with opposites. Let's do it again. The first one, what's ma and meya? Ma is the Indian of the ask, right? Hashem is asking you to fear Him, such a big thing, right? Whereas the second one, He's only asking you to make 100 brachas, a relatively simple thing. So what's big and what's small there? The ma is big, the meya is small, right? And take it to the next reading. We say, what's the difference between ma and meya? That ma is al pi pashtus lashon Gemara, right? Is all I'm asking you is to fear me. Like, besides the fact that we said that's problematic because to fear Him is a very big thing. Before we get into the question, the answer, the simple statement of the pasuk is that all I'm asking you is to fear, which is basically a simple thing, right? Whereas when we go, which is small. Right? And then when we go and we change it, Al Tikra Ma Ela Meya, Meya represents 100, which is the ultimate big. In Al Pi Pashtus, Al Pi Sod, Al Pi Nigla, no matter how you look at it, Meya is huge. So therefore we've switched it, that the Indian of Ma, the simple reading is Ma is something, a davar katan, something small. Meya is fantastically large. So there are two different ways of investigating Ma and Meya, and it turns out that the result of that investigation is they come out with opposite in terms of their size.
Right, but I'm not sure I understand why ma would be first so big to accomplish and then so small. Why is there?
It's beautiful. It's kind of the exact same question you asked before, right? On a certain simple level, which is how we're reading the Chumash, without getting into the Gemara, you say Moshe is saying a simple statement. Listen, guys, at the end of the day, all I'm asking you is to fear Hashem. Something simple, right? When you start to investigate that, you're like, wait a second, that's not so simple. But we're not investigating it yet. We're just saying, all I'm asking you is to fear Hashem. On the Pshat level, in other words, the meaning of the words in the Chumash. That's what means Pshat level. What Moshe is saying is qualitatively something small. That's his point. He's like, don't worry about all these mitzvahs. All I'm asking you is something small, to fear Hashem. Right? So that's ma equals small. And then it's in contrast to me is big. But then we go back and we get into your real question. Wait a second. You just told me ma is this impossible thing to achieve. To fear Hashem is huge. And whereas meya, making 100 brachas is relatively easy. Any simple person can make 100 brachas. Just give him the piece of paper, he'll read them and he'll say the brachas. It's not like such an inner depth of his soul to reach. So therefore, qualitatively, right? I guess you can go in quantity and quality in that way. Qualitatively, the fear is huge and the meya is simple.
That's where the opposite is.
And therefore there's two opposites going on here. The two readings of ma and meya wind up with two opposite results. How are we doing on time? We're out of it. Let's just finish the line here. Because, wait, don't run away. We're just going to finish this paragraph so we can start. Basically, it's not going to say anything new. Just if you want to see the taich. The mizeh shemeya brachas hem hakdam liyira. This that you have only to make 100 brachas as a preface to fearing, which is the first reading. That if you make 100 brachas, simple, you'll come to fear Hashem. Muvan shayira hila ma'ila mehem. It comes out that fear is higher, bigger than 100 brachas. Because if you do the simple thing, make 100 brachas, you'll come to the higher thing, which is yira. That's the first reading. Nonetheless, nonetheless, the obligation to say 100 brachas, we learn from don't say ma elameya. And when it comes to the fear, it says ma, which is essentially a simple thing. Shoel mimach. What am I asking from you already? Not much. The lashon ma mora al davar katan, and there the word ma means something small. And right, and we're going to say don't say ma elameya. In other words, push away ma, the small thing, and you'll do the big thing, the exact opposite. Okay, so we've more or less said it. Like I said, it's a little bit tricky inside the words itself. It took me a few reads on that one, but that's what's going on there.
So it's like a haftach. If you manage to say 100 brachos every day, you get a year.
That's what he's saying the first reading. It's like, do the simple thing and Hashem will grant you
Well, it's almost that
the ma.
if you have to, if you are consistent with mitzvot, then you have to do 100 mitzvot.
Yeah?
I mean, there's enough.
You didn't say
enough
mitzvot
things-
brachos.
There's enough things that you're required to do that you have to do 100 brachos.
I mean, that's not necessarily the pshat. The pshat is that magically, if you fulfill this thing of 100 brachas, you'll get this thing which is really beyond you altogether. You know, it's on a simple level, it's like a segula. It's very good advice Rabbi's giving you here. If you make 100 brachas, you're going to be a different man. Right?
He's covering you. It's like you're covered. The 100
Well, that's it.
for the fear. So
You'll get something that you wouldn't normally be able to have.
right. Interesting.
All right.